Hello, and welcome to Lease Query's Accountant's Angle, an audio blog series where our experts answer your most burning questions regarding accounting topics and upcoming changes. My name is Emily Fish. I'm a product accounting manager here at Lease Query and your host for today's audio blog. Today, I'm joined by Jason Parker, Accounting Solutions Manager and CPA with Lease Query, to discuss the package of practical expedients. Jason, thanks for joining us. Let's kick it off. Let's dive right in. We hear the term package of practical expedients often. So what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, that is an excellent question to start off with, Emily. So the package of practical expedients, I think, is often thought of as just the entire amount of expedients that are offered by the board. However, the package actually only refers to 3 of the expedients that are offered, and the term package comes from the fact that in order to actually elect the expedients, you have to elect all of them together. You cannot choose one of them individually versus another. So the term package in summary is the sense that, hey, I have to elect all of this as a package.
Got it. So what exactly are the expedients offered within the package?
So the package includes 3 different expedients that are all really related to reassessing definitions as you transition into the 842 standard. So one of them will be reevaluating initial direct costs. Another one will be reevaluating the classification of your lease. So when we talk classification, we mean whether it is an operating lease or a capital/finance lease. And then the other one would actually just be the definition of a lease in general. So whether the asset actually qualifies as a lease under the 842 standard.
And how would applying the package of practical expedients benefit the organization's implementation efforts?
So the idea behind the expedients, of course, is always to save time and effort when applying the new guidance, while also making sure that the application of the new standard makes sense and provides as much clarity as possible. So the idea here is, as long as an organization has appropriately accounted for each of these expedients or each of these scenarios in the past correctly, they would not have to reevaluate at transition. So starting with the definition of a lease, the definition does change a little bit as you move into the 842 guidance. And so as you transition, any lease that is active at the transition period that you did classify appropriately ahead of time, you don't then have to determine whether it qualifies as a lease under 842. So it saves you time and effort from determining whether your lease portfolio is complete. And then when we start thinking about the additional expedients offered, the classification piece, of course, as you transition to 842, the guidance has added a 5th criteria for determining whether a lease is operating or finance, determining whether the asset is so specialized in nature that even if it does pass all of the initial 4 tests provided, that asset might still qualify as a finance lease just based on a qualitative assessment. So using the expedient, you don't have to reevaluate any active agreements as long as those agreements are accurately assessed ahead of time. And then the third one being initial direct costs. Now, with initial direct costs, the definition under 842 is actually less encompassing. And so an initial direct cost, if it does qualify, you would capitalize that and expense it over the term. If it does not qualify, you would expense it immediately. So rather than having to reassess any capitalized initial direct costs at the transition, you can continue to evenly expense those over the term, even if they wouldn't necessarily qualify as an initial direct cost under 842. So all of that to be said, in each of these scenarios, the organization adopting the new standard has the ability to save time and energy in the adoption and can focus on these new definitions from any lease that begins on or after the transition to 842.
Well, Jason, thanks so much for sharing all of that information about the package of practical expedients And thanks so much to our listeners for joining today's Accountant's Angle. Remember, you can submit your questions for upcoming audio blogs, and our experts will share their insights. Don't forget to tune in 2 weeks for our next topic.